3, 2, 1, go.
You're listening to The Kyle Chambers Show.
And hello, my name is Kyle Chambers. I'm here today with Marie Cassidy. Marie is the Operations Technologist for INDI 1015 and Ignite Radio, and she's also a professor in the Radio and Creative Content program at Mohawk College. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So what inspired you to get involved in the media industry, and why did you want to go into the journalism program after you graduated high school?
I always wanted to be a writer ever since I was little. When I was 9 or 10 years old, I kind of put together this book of poetry, and really since then it was just I wanted to write, and I love to talk. So it just kind of worked out together, and I found broadcast journalism at Mohawk. And yeah, that's pretty much what made me want to pursue it. And I've always really been interested in how the world works. And yeah, that's kind of it.
That's great. What opportunities did you have in your last year when you were in journalism? Journalism is a 3-year program. What opportunities did you have in that last year to be able to pursue your career further?
We had a lot of opportunities, a lot of great opportunities. We did work with the television program. We were on camera. We worked with the radio station. C1015, or what is INDI 1015 now, is the first radio station I was ever on. And I was the newsroom assistant in my final year at Mohawk College. And basically what that meant is I worked with the program coordinator and other faculty to schedule the students for their various television shows or radio shows, and really just kind of work with other students and help them if they had technical issues, if they had maybe, hey, I'm writing this, can I run it past you? What do you think of it? That kind of thing. So it was a great opportunity for really me to reinforce the skills that I had learned in the program. So I really enjoyed doing that.
What was it like for you in the early days to be able to work on weekends and during the week to get your start in the radio industry?
So I started in the radio industry right out of Mohawk College. So I did my internship with Bayshore Broadcasting up in Owen Sound. And I was hired on right after my internship, and I was a weekend news anchor and reporter. So I worked kind of a set, steady hours on the weekend, and I did the newscasts for 4 radio stations. And then I worked during the week as a reporter covering various events. It was quite taxing. Like it was a lot of hours. It was crazy hours. You didn't really have much of a set schedule outside of my weekend. But yeah, I had to really cut my teeth in the industry, but that's what you have to do to get your start. So it was worth every second of pain.
You're somebody who's really defied the odds, and at a young age, you've really overcome a lot of things. What was it like for you to be a regional news director of the head of that cluster, and how did you help manage people and help pursue your news team with people that were older than you, and how did you motivate them to do the best at news they could?
Well, I became a news director quite young. I was in my early 20s when I became a news director, and through just experience and really working hard, I found that maybe I had to work a little bit harder than some of my older counterparts. And when I became the regional cluster news director of Ontario for Vista Radio, I really had to build a rapport with my various reporters and news anchors across Ontario, because like you said, some of them were significantly older than me. So you had to kind of prove to them that you had something that you were able to teach them. I remember one employee I had who was probably old enough to be my father. And we worked together for about 10 years, and he retired at the end of that, and had said, you know what? I really enjoyed working with you, and you taught me a lot over the years. And that one was really earning respect year over year and working together and, showing them that I could bring something that maybe they hadn't seen before, right? So it was something that definitely took a lot of time and a lot of hard work. And as a young manager, I think I had to, like I said, maybe work a little bit harder than some of my older counterparts to prove that I had a right to be there. And,
Before you became the radio station's operation technologist for ND 101.5 and Ignite Radio and working in the radio side for Mohawk College, you went back part-time in the journalism. And what motivated you to originally start being a professor at Mohawk College originally several years ago?
Well, one of my faculty from the broadcast journalism and communications media program was actually the associate dean at the time for media and entertainment, what was creative industries back then. And I was at one of the kind of big performance things that they did. It was called Media Fest. And I was there actually scouting talent. I was there to hire someone. And the associate dean had said to me, "Why have you never taught for us?" And at that point, I was the regional cluster news director of 24 stations in Ontario and the national assistant news director for 64 stations across Canada. And I looked at him and I said, "When would I have time?" So I said, "If my life ever slowed down a little bit, I'll let you know." And it did actually. My station got sold and my life did slow down a little bit. And I came back and I started teaching part-time or as a partial load professor in radio and journalism at Mohawk College.
You came on in your position currently at Mohawk during the pandemic. What inspired you to switch the brand from 101.5 The Hawk to INDI 101.5 during that time?
Well, during that time was kind of a crazy time in radio. It really was. So I took over in October 2020. I went from part-time to full-time as the Radio Station Operations Technologist for INDI and Ignite. At the time, it was 101.5 The Hawk. Part of the switch was we were revamping the radio program at the time. So it was broadcasting radio. It's now broadcasting radio and creative content. So part of the rebrand of the radio station was really, hey, let's make this new, let's make this exciting, kind of coincide with that relaunch of the program. Part of it was because the Hawk had kind of morphed into something different and I couldn't keep really the same name because I was planning on making format changes to really reinstate that heritage sound, that alternative and indie rock that we have on INDI 101.5. So INDI 101.5 is a little bit of a heritage relaunch of the INDI 101 brand that used to be at Mohawk College, with kind of a fine point on the positioning on the dial. And then it's kind of wrapping in a little bit of the positioning statement from the Hawk. So it's kind of a marriage of everything that the station had been up to that point, with some, obviously new imaging, new programming, new logo, all that kind of stuff. So it was just really giving it a fresh, sharp look going into that new intake in September for the radio and creative content program.
How's it been like for you to be able to lead students, lead the next generation of broadcasters as they start out on their journey as well?
Well, when I was a regional cluster news director, it was something that I enjoyed a lot, was the mentoring. And then once I started teaching part-time as well, it really let me put my love of mentoring and my love of the industry kind of together. So it's always been about helping to shape the next generation of young broadcasters kind of coming into the industry for me, because I worked so many years with graduates kind of on the other side, like they had just graduated and I'm helping them get their start in the industry. This is kind of the flip side of helping prepare people to enter the industry in the first place. So it really kind of brought together all the things that I enjoy and love about the industry and mentoring and all of that. So it means a lot to me. And then to see, students that I've worked with go on to take on, amazing things in their career. It's very, very rewarding.
That's great. For people who want to get their start in the radio industry or want to get further education, what can a new student that is thinking about applying for the program expect from the radio and creative content program at Mohawk College?
Well, it's a very engaging program. You get a lot of time on I can't speak too much to the academics. I'm not the program coordinator, but I will say from the radio standpoint, you get a lot of airtime. You get a lot of practice. You get to experience different formats. Ignite Radio is kind of that CHR hot AC leaning kind of station, and that gives you exposure to top 40 music, pop music, and then indie is, Hamilton's home for alternative. It's alternative and indie rock. So it really gives that well-rounded demo when you go out into the industry, because you have experience and you can show your skill set on multiple radio formats. Then on top of that, obviously you get exposure to some radio programming, which is really interesting. You get to use Music Master. You get to learn all about the iMedia Touch suite of programs and broadcasting. And then tons more, lots of creative content stuff. And like I said, I can't speak too much into the academics, but yeah, it's a fun program. And I think that everybody kind of becomes a bit of a family by the end of it. And it's, it was so nice to see all of the most recent grads walk across the stage and get their diplomas. And, there was that sense of camaraderie and family. So it's great to see.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Kyle. I really appreciate it.